You, Spacians! Hey guys, Kakarot197 again. This time with a review of the high-grade Lfrith ore provided to me by Hobbling Japan. Links to buy your own down below. And this is definitely one hell of an intimidating mobile suit. There's just something about the design of this machine that perfectly combines the chunkiness of its armor and the leanness that it inherited from the Lfrith. And thanks to some really good attention to detail, this model kit perfectly encapsulates that feeling. The sticker sheet might look a bit worrying, but almost the entire thing consists of metallic red stickers for the Gund arm system. There's a grand total of 18. The other ones then are 2 black ones for the barrels of the cannon, another black one in case you don't want to have the Gund arm system active, for some reason, metallic green stickers for the eyes and main camera, behind which is a green piece of plastic, and another metallic green sticker for the rear camera. The only unfortunate thing here is that it no longer makes use of a mold-in piece for the shell unit on the chest. Considering the fact that this is a 1,900 yen model kit versus the 1,300 yen Ariel, which did have one, this does come across as a bit cheap. But fortunately, this won't prevent the ore from looking great. Thanks to a lot of details being in the correct color, you just have to use gray for this area on the abdomen and a bit of black for some minor details and panel lining. On to the equally amazing accessories then. And I'm sure that the main event for a lot of people will be the giant beam Gatling gun, which comes with a little bit of everything. The barrels can rotate around, which is always a nice feature. It has a rotating second handle, so the ore can hold it with both hands, which can also be placed on either the left or right side of the gun, allowing you to choose if your ore is a righty or a lefty, or you can buy 2 and make her a doubly. And the same goes for the shield. It slots into either side of the Gatling gun and comes with 2 beam sabers, which come with 2 blue beam saber blade effect parts. Or if you prefer, you can also attach the shield to the arms or even the backpack, where you can also store the Gatling gun, which isn't an official feature, but I think it looks really good nonetheless. Next up then, we have the phased array cannon, which opens up when the gun format reaches a certain level. And just as with the Gatling gun, if you buy 2, you can make a heavily armed and symmetrical ore. And then finally, we have a pair of open hands. But now, before we move on to the articulation, I want to talk about something related to it. How sturdy it feels. Compared to the other Witch from Mercury machines, this is quite a chonker, and as a result, it also feels slightly less sturdy than the rest. It's kind of like the Master Grade Hazels, I feel. They reused the fantastic Gundam Mark II frame, which worked wonders for the lean Mark II, but it felt flimsy when combined with the heavier armor of the Hazels. It's nowhere near as bad here, but it is still something that I noticed when I was handling it. So let's go on and actually handle the thing. For the head, we get the usual double ball joint for some nice upwards, downwards, rotation, and forwards and backwards movement. Then for the shoulders, we also get a double ball joint for some nice forwards, backwards, and upwards and downwards movement. The shoulder armor itself can go up nicely like so, and then the arms can go up all the way like that. They'll rotate around below the shoulder, bend at the elbow on only a single joint, but we are still getting a little over 90 degrees, so that is something. Then the hands will rotate around, wiggle around, and do everything a ball joint does. Then we get another ball joint in the waist. It is only a single one, but it does still offer some nice articulation. And we also have a simple swivel joint in there for the rotation. Then when we get to the waist, things get pretty interesting. The hips are just on your typical swivel joints for some forwards and backwards movement, but it is the side skirts in combination with the front skirts that have the interesting articulation going on. They're on a ball joint, which is on its own hinge joint to move it out of the way so that the legs can go nicely forwards, and then they'll also go nicely backwards. Unfortunately, the back skirt does not move at all. And then the side skirts will also go up nicely, allowing the legs to go out very nicely as well. They'll then rotate around all the way, bend at the knees on 2 joints, not too bad considering the chonk that this thing has going for it. Then this little armor panel can go up and down, allowing the feet to go nicely forwards on their single hinge joint, backwards on that same hinge joint. We don't get any rotation, but we do get some interesting side-to-side movement. The back of the foot is on a simple peg, so that will that'll go side to side independently. And then we also get a toe joint that is on a ball joint, so it will also go side to side, and then can also go up and down a little bit. And then these stabilizer things at the end can also rotate around. And then last but definitely not least, we have the 2 hinges on the face array cannon. So for such a heavily armored mobile suit, its articulation definitely isn't too shabby, and it is totally capable of making the Ur's heavy weaponry shine in some pretty dynamic poses. So as always, the inevitable question is, do you want to buy this? And for 1,900 yen, it isn't exactly the cheapest high grade around, but it does do a great job at justifying that price, minus a few minor hiccups. With the exception of the Delonzas, the Witch from Mercury line doesn't really have a lot of truly chonky mobile suits. And for me, the Delonzas lose a lot of their badassery and impressiveness because of both their chubby feet and their relatively small stature that really do clash with the overall aesthetic. They're also not nearly as big as this thing is. The Ur, on the other hand, knows exactly what's going on, and so does the model kit. Even without its role in the anime, I would have gone for this kit purely for the design. But now that I've built one and have seen it in action, I'm very tempted to buy a second one to display it in its regular mode. This is definitely a recommendation for fans of Witch from Mercury, or simply more well-armored yet sleek machines. Just be careful not to play around with it too much, because I'm not sure how well this frame is going to stand up to that. Like I said, it is already feeling a bit flimsy straight out of the box. For the size comparisons then, here it is next to its sister unit, the significantly smaller Lfrith Thorn, and its very distant relative, the original Lfrith, which still pales in comparison to this bad boy. Next up then, we have some more chonky machines from Witch from Mercury, the Delonza Guel Custom and the Delonza Soul. And like I just said, there's just something that the Delonzas are lacking that the Ur totally nailed in the intimidation department. And then finally, here it is next to the standard size Gym Custom and the always bulky Zaku 3. And finally we have a kit from the Witch from Mercury line that can actually give the Zaku 3 a run for its money. And that has been all for this review of this heavy anti-Spacian mobile suit. Again, links to buy one or more down below. As always, a big thank you to the Patreon supporters. I hope everyone watching has a great day, and I'll see you all next time.